Welcome back. I'm Neil Chase, author of Iron Dogs and writer-director of Spin the Wheel. And today we're going to continue our look at villain archetypes, what makes them tick, their strengths, their weaknesses, and why we love to hate them. And we'll cap it off with some fantastic examples from pop culture. So by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of how to use this archetype in your stories. So today, let's look at the kind of villain that thrives on making a hero's life utterly miserable. The bully. So grab your popcorn, let's get started. First, let's talk about what an archetype actually is. An archetype is a recurring character type that represents universal human traits across cultures and history. It can be found in every type of storytelling, from myths to legends, movies, books, video games, and beyond. Think of archetypes as templates. Writers take them, use them, and make them their own. Villain archetypes, like hero archetypes, follow patterns. But there's a key difference. While the hero archetype evolves through struggle and growth, overcoming flaws and fears, villain archetypes resist change, doubling down on their worst qualities. Some villains are masterminds, others are monsters. But the bully thrives on intimidation and fear. Now you've seen this character before, from school hallways to dark alleys to ruling entire kingdoms. They prey on the weak and take pleasure from inflicting pain. But they can't stand it when the victim fights back. A sadist that likes to feel big, hiding the fact that inside, they're undeniably small. Now, bullies aren't just cruel for the sake of being cruel. There's usually something going on under the surface. Many bullies act out because they're insecure, using intimidation to mask their own self-doubt. Maybe they've been hurt before, and putting others down makes them feel stronger. It's as if they think, if I push first, no one can push me. While others are all about power and control. They don't want to feel weak, so they try to dominate the people around them. It's not really about their victims. It's about making sure they're the ones in charge. And some bullies act the way they do because it's what they've learned. If they grew up in a home or a community where being tough or aggressive was the norm, they might think that's just how the world works. Or worse, they've even been bullied themselves and are just passing it on. And then there's lack of emotional intelligence. Some people just don't know how to handle feelings like frustration, jealousy, or fear. Instead of dealing with their emotions in a healthy way, they lash out at others. It doesn't excuse their actions, but it does explain why some bullies behave the way they do. And let's face it, of all the villain archetypes, this one's probably the most universal, because it feels real. Almost everyone has faced a bully at some point in life, so audiences find it easy to relate. There's no explanation needed to understand why this character poses a threat. And because of that, we love seeing them beaten, humbled, or even redeemed. And that makes them a powerful storytelling tool. So when it comes to strengths, the bully has more than their share. The bully brings instant conflict, making the stakes clear from the start. If it's a schoolyard showdown or a workplace power struggle, their aggressive nature forces the hero to either stand up or back down. Just take a look at Biff Tannen from Back to the Future. His constant harassment of George and Marty McFly, both in the present and the past, not only sets up multiple crucial moments of conflict, but opportunities for growth for both father and son. Next, almost everyone has encountered a bully at some point, making this archetype deeply personal for audiences. Their behavior reminds us of real-life struggles, adding an emotional weight to the hero's journey in the story. For example, Draco Malfoy's intimidation of Harry and his friends taps into a universal experience of childhood bullying, from grade school all the way into young adulthood, making Harry's struggle feel all too real at times. Bullies also often control key resources, whether it's through sheer strength, wealth, or social influence. It doesn't matter if it's a high school clique or a gang of mob enforcers. This gives them an edge and makes it even harder for other characters to challenge them. Just take a look at Regina George in Mean Girls. She wields social influence like a weapon, using manipulation and exclusion to maintain her dominance over her peers, who, let's face it, are simply too scared to ever cross her. And lastly, if your hero is weak, inexperienced, or unsure of themselves, well, the bully's a perfect adversary to push them to grow. The hero's triumph over the bully is often as satisfying a turning point as you'll find in storytelling. It's harder to think of a better example than Johnny Lawrence in The Karate Kid. He may have eventually turned into a hero, but as a teen, his bullying forces Daniel LaRusso to seek help, learn new skills, become stronger both inside and out, and then to stand up for himself in the bully's own domain. But the bully isn't invincible. They have major weaknesses that can be used against them. Bullies tend to underestimate people they see as weak, which often leads to their downfall. They assume their power is unshakable, but that kind of arrogance is their greatest blind spot. For example, look at Gaston in Beauty and the Beast. As a war hero and the greatest hunter in all the land, he believes he can easily defeat the beast. But his arrogance and refusal to accept his limitations leads to his demise. If not written well, a bully can feel flat and predictable, making them less interesting as villains. Giving them depth like a tragic backstory or personal insecurities grounded in real-world problems, or even certain likable qualities, can instantly make them more complex and engaging. For example, Flash Thompson in the Spider-Man franchise is initially presented in both the comics and the movies as a one-note high school bully, but later adaptations add real depth and even elicit sympathy, showing that his behavior stems from his own struggles at home. Once the hero gains confidence or strength, the bully often crumbles. Their power relies on keeping others weak, so when someone stands up to them, they tend to fold. Look at Scott Farkas in A Christmas Story, a sadistic bully who repeatedly tortures Ralphie and his friends. He finds that his hold over the neighborhood kids vanishes the moment Ralphie finds the courage to fight back. And finally, many bullies are only tough until they face real opposition. They thrive on picking on those weaker than them, but tend to fold when confronted by someone stronger. Just look at Melvin Moody in My Bodyguard. He mostly uses others to do his dirty work in extorting school kids of their lunch money, but is scared into submission when confronted by someone bigger than himself, showing just how insecure and reliant he is on others for his strength. Now, the wonderful thing about bullies is that there are so many examples to choose from. So here are a few more great ones that come to mind. Chet Donnelly in Weird Science. Chet's the classic older brother bully. He constantly humiliates and belittles his younger brother Wyatt and his friend Gary, using threats and mockery to establish dominance. Chris Hargensen in Carrie. Manipulative, narcissistic, and often cruel, she bullies Carrie emotionally and psychologically, taking it so far that Carrie snaps in the end, with the most tragic of consequences. Francis Buxton in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. A spoiled, entitled rich kid who believes his wealth and status entitle him to take whatever he wants, especially Pee-wee's coveted red bicycle, often resorting to bribery and sabotage to get his way. Mad Dog Tannen in Back to the Future Part 3. A ruthless outlaw who uses threats, violence, and a fast draw to establish dominance over the people in town, proving that when it comes to the Tannen family, bullying runs in the blood. The Dursleys in the Harry Potter franchise. Harry's uncle, aunt, and cousin each exert complete control over him, treating him as a second-class citizen in his own home, verbally degrading him and ensuring he never feels safe or welcome. And one of my personal favorite movie bullies, Buddy Revell in 3 O'Clock High. Less talkative than a traditional bully, Buddy relies on his fists and the promise of a punctual beating to get his message across more than words ever could. So as you can see, the bully is one of the most recognizable and effective archetypes in storytelling. They create immediate conflict, push heroes to grow, and remind audiences of struggles they've faced in real life. But the best bullies aren't just mindless thugs. The truly great ones have layers, motivations, and even weaknesses that make them so fascinating. A well-written bully should have layers. Maybe they were bullied themselves, or they're jealous or threatened, or they have unrealized goals and dreams. Whatever it is, they need a reason for their behavior beyond just being mean. And they should have the opportunity to back off at least once. Now, whether they do or not is entirely up to you. But the answer will reveal whether they redeem themselves or stay a villain forever. But hey, these are just my 2 cents. Give me yours. Let me know in the comments below who's your favorite fictional bully and why. And if you'd like to support my channel and see more content like this, please click the links below and check out my work. If you're a fan of action or horror, you'll love my novel Iron Dogs. Or if you prefer thrillers, especially one with a few hateable bullies, then my latest film, Spin the Wheel, is out now on Tubi. And if you're looking for more unique storytelling tips to take your fiction to the next level, click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with the latest content. Until next time, stay creative.